Elon Musk has famously said that Tesla has never spent a penny on PR or advertising. But is that really the case? What does Tesla do to actually advertise and get the word out? And how does that affect the way that we consumers interact with Tesla and ultimately Tesla's bottom line? Let's take a look. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. So I want to start with the low-hanging fruit, which of course is basic advertising. That's the kind of stuff that you see in Super Bowl ads from Ford or GM or the like. And with the Super Bowl coming up relatively soon, you will probably see some of those advertisements coming up soon. So at least if you watch the Super Bowl. Anyway, you're used to that. You see it on the internet, you see it on traditional broadcast TV and all those kinds of things. And according to Sandy Munro during his rant recently about knowing the price of Teslas and everything, where people apparently were telling him he didn't know the price of Tesla models, and he brought out gigantic books. Anyway, if you haven't seen the video, you should definitely do that. But he said that the cost of specific advertising, which means the things that you see on the internet or on TV, those cost about $600 per vehicle, the way you spread them out across the cost of all the vehicles. So that's not an insignificant amount of money. It's not gigantic, but it's also not an insignificant amount of money that is spent on advertising these vehicles. And certainly Tesla has never done this, and I doubt that they ever will. But Tesla is also not a wallflower. It doesn't just quietly go about its business and do things without telling anybody about it. Now, have they made mistakes over time? Have they adjusted their strategies? Absolutely. Tesla used to have a PR department, but Elon Musk let them all go several years ago and said they just didn't need it. And at the time, he was probably right, but there are many strategies, including some different things that look a lot more like public relations nowadays than what used to be there that Tesla has been doing. And while I'm not going to argue that these methodologies are the conventional methodologies, I do feel like they're tailing into at least public relations. Actually, what I want to call it is not PR, but IR. I want to call it information relations rather than public relations. I think that Elon is starting to realize, the car company is getting really, really big. And so you've got those early adopters who are very enthusiastic and pay a lot of attention to Tesla. But what they want instead is to start hitting those early mainstream adopters. In other words, we were at the bottom of the S curve. Now we're starting to tip up and we're starting to hit the steep part. And those are people who are enthusiastic about new technology, but don't really follow things. They're not obsessed with it like some of us on YouTube are. So Tesla is going to need to alter their strategy, right? At the beginning, they just needed a couple of hundred people, then a few thousand people, then a few tens of thousands, now a few 100,000, and then we're into the millions now. So as we look at millions into the multiple millions of potential buyers per year, they actually do need to get the word out more because not everybody is just paying attention all the time. Most people are just kind of like going about their daily business, and then they're like, oh gosh, I need a new car in the next couple of months. They start to search around, they look at see what the options are, and then they make a vehicle purchase. So they're not like obsessively following one company or something and going like, yeah, what is it that I need to do? Now, there is a big chunk of consumers that are just like, ooh, I saw advertisement on TV, must go buy that brand, right? Or their parents have bought that brand for decades and that's what they buy. That kind of stuff certainly happens, but there are a lot of people who are willing to research things, but they're not obsessed about it. So that's where I feel like Tesla is right now, and not just in the United States, but also in Europe and in China. They're competing with a lot more vehicles, and they're actually competing with internal combustion or ICE cars. They're starting to compete with a bunch of those things. So they've kind of picked off the low-hanging fruit at this point, and they're moving into more competitive spaces where they need to get the word out. So number one, how do they get the word out? Well, Elon Musk is number one. He uses Twitter, and he also uses interviews. He goes on not as much traditional mainstream media, but other things, but he gets a ton of attention both on mainstream media and on things like, finance channels like Yahoo Finance and stuff like that. So he's out there putting out the word. So like I said, it's not a wallflower. The company is not just back there making great vehicles and nobody's talking about it. Elon Musk is very, very good about talking about this stuff. And when he does anything, if he does an interview at a summit or even with a bunch of high school kids, mainstream media and internet media media and people like me. So all of the above will attack this stuff, and we will suck it in, and we will churn it up, and we'll, make our opinions about it or something like that, and we will rebroadcast it. And the net effect of all of this noise is that Tesla gets an awful lot of eyeballs. Now, all of that coverage is not positive. If you look at something like on MSNBC or something, or on CNN or whatever it is, some of these articles and some of these things, maybe like Elon Musk is crazy, he's on Twitter, he's doing things, this is bad for Tesla, all of that. So, you could argue that that is negative press, but there's also the adage that says that no press is bad press. Like basically any notoriety you get at all is a way of increasing your brand. Now, I think there can be excesses of that, and I have seen people in recent years go too far, and they have destroyed their personal brand, if not their corporate brands. But, Elon seems to ride that line where he's constantly got people talking about him. So that is an excellent, excellent marketing strategy, right? Again, maybe not the most traditional thing. Most CEOs are not brave, or techno kings are not brave enough to name themselves techno kings, for one thing, but also to go on and say things that are honest. I've talked before about how Elon is radically honest. He's a radically honest person. So when he gets on, you're going to get his actual thoughts. And so that is going to generate a lot of buzz. But also, I think he also, he's a smart guy, and he understands that saying provocative things are going to generate a lot of traffic. So he gets that. Again, he's getting that from mainstream media. You can consider CNN or NBC or something like that as mainstream media. And then you can also get more finance media, things that are either on mainstream media like broadcast or also on the internet like Yahoo Finance. So he's able to get those more traditional media outlets to talk a great deal about him. And then, of course, he has got, and I count myself amongst these people, he's got an army of YouTube people who are out there, talking about him from every single angle, talking about Tesla, also talking about SpaceX and other companies that he's got, but talking about Elon Musk and his companies from every conceivable angle, from investor relations to my more tech-focused things, to stuff about how Elon's an alien, to things about how he's going to Mars and all of this stuff. So, the halo of YouTube channels around Elon Musk's companies is huge. And I'm sure if you've ever searched for it, or even YouTube's general, algorithms that pop up, you will see that. And then, of course, there's podcasts and there's other types of media as well. So he's got a halo of volunteer people out there covering him as well. So that generates an awful lot of buzz about, we're going to talk about Tesla specifically, but, all of his companies get an automatic buzz and get raised above the noise floor to some extent by all of these things. So while each one of these individual outlets might not rise above the noise floor and you might not see it in your daily life, collectively, all of these together, whether you're a person who watches traditional broadcast TV, or you watch more finance news on the internet, or you watch YouTube channels or things, the likelihood is that you're going to see something about Tesla over the space of a day or a week or something. And that is going to drive more, people to pay attention to Tesla. So that kind of strategy, while it doesn't really cost Tesla any money, is great public relations and marketing strategy. So unconventional methodology number one is to get everybody else to do your marketing for you. So genius move on Tesla's part. The second move, of course, is just Elon himself. He gets on Twitter and he talks about stuff all the time. Very provocative. Last I checked, he had 125 million followers on Twitter. So, and growing all the time. I think it's like 100,000 people a day or something that he's adding on. So if he tweets something out, that is an awful lot of people who are paying attention to what he's saying. So of course, if he says, silly things and he makes poop emojis and stuff like that on his channel, then people are paying attention to him and they're like, yeah, what is he going to say next? And then he says something positive about Tesla, or he reposts something from SpaceX about how they just landed, another booster from their Falcon 9 or Falcon Heavy or whatever. So you've got all of these things that he does. He's integrating, like it's very, very clever. Again, I'm not positive that he's doing this consciously, but it works out such to be very, very clever that by being provocative and having a lot of interesting tweets, when he does tweet something about the companies, there's a lot of eyeballs attached to that. So Elon Musk is definitely strategy number two. Again, doesn't cost anything but a little bit of his time. And so that is another genius move on his part. And speaking of Twitter, nearly 2 years ago, I started a channel called Tesla on PR. It's not super popular, but the whole idea was to give this to Tesla at some point. I thought, they have this great unpublic relations strategy. So anyway, it's out there. If Tesla wants it, they can have it at any point that they want. But basically, it follows Elon and several other, people in Elon's halo, and retweets his stuff. And it's it's not a bot, but it basically operates kind of like a bot. But anyway, it's just a little side channel. I don't really spend a lot of time on it, but if you want to join, definitely check it out. Anyway, so you've got this Tesla on PR thing that I started because even 2 years ago, I was like, oh, I see what Tesla's doing here. I see what Elon Musk is doing. They're doing public relations. They're just doing it backwards from the traditional way of doing it. And then, of course, there's Tesla's ability to make gigantic moves that are, they make waves in the industry here. So I'm looking at Google's search trends here over the past year, actually. Yeah. So you can see that while it's been pretty flatlined for the past year, as we get to, so we had the $7,500 tax credits in the United States, not tax credits, sorry, the discounts that Tesla did right before the end of the year. You can see how that boosted things up a little bit, but right around here is where Tesla announced their price cuts. And you can see that the trend went up drastically in the past week. And then the week that just finished, this is not confirmed numbers at this point, but you can see that it's basically gone vertical in terms of searches for Tesla over the past 2 weeks, ever since they did the price cuts in the United States. And if we look at worldwide, you can see that the trend is basically the same. It's gone vertical. I guess it's tipped over slightly recently, but while there was a little bit more variability on the baseline kind of score of how much searching was going on, you can see that it really, really took off. Now, China is not included, so that's unfortunate because, China is its own thing, but you can see how Europe in particular had a significant rise, Australia, the United States. So there's a lot of interest. Norway, I guess, is the number one. So go everybody in Norway. You guys are the number one people who are looking at Teslas and the amount of increase. But anyway, you can see that around the world, they got a huge amount of attention with these price cuts. So Tesla's ability to make these gigantic moves is actually a huge thing. And then that depends, of course, getting the word out depends on all these media outlets and everything that are out there providing the information and regurgitating it for everybody so that they make sure everyone gets that. And by the way, if I look on Tesla Model Y prices, I tried to be as generic as possible. So you've got an ad for BMW up here. Interesting. We've got Tesla next, which makes sense. A few videos, news, things like that. And then we've got 2023 Model Y prices, which interestingly enough, this is Edmunds.com, which is wrong. It's basically, these are no longer correct, up to date. So we do have to go down a few of these search results before we get there, but we get Tesla price drops from Yahoo Finance. And so then we, Model 3 cutting prices. So you can see that you're getting into this stuff with the price drops just by Google searching. And I tried to do it as, I didn't put in price drops or anything like that. I just put in prices. So if anyone is researching Tesla, they will see these results relatively easily. I think that Ecosia, which is the search engine that I actually use, it supposedly plants trees when you when you do searches. So anyway, I like that. But they use Bing and not Google. But of course, if we go to google.com, I would imagine we'll get the same thing as well. So, oh, very nice. So let's see, Tesla Model Y prices. And we can take a look and see, okay, so got to increase the size of this so you guys can read it. So here we go. So actually right away, so Google is even higher up there. You can see that the first result before even any ads or anything like that is the price. It doesn't say price cut, but it does say that it starts at $52,990, which is the correct answer. And let's see, price reviews. Again, this is incorrect. Kelly Blue Book is behind the times. Price cut. So here you go. Price cut. That's the first one. Prices reviews, prices and specs. So yeah. So anyway, drops prices. Okay. So anyway, you can see that you do have to search a little bit on these things, but you do, at least with Google, you get an immediate result at the top that doesn't say the price was cut, but does say that the lower price. And of course, it's very important in the United States, at least, that it is under that $55,000 cap, since the US government, IRS, decided that the Tesla Model Y was not an SUV. So, this is Tesla's counter move. They just said, fine, we'll just make it less than $55,000 so it fits under the other category cap. And then we get to Tesla's final strategy that I want to discuss today, and that is that they are more and more using videos. And again, this is why I'm calling it IR, information relations. I know that's investor relations, but anyway, so maybe need to be something else besides IR. But anyway, it's not public relations as much as informational relations. And you can see that they've got kind of a double thing that they're working on here. The Tesla Bot Actuators team, which unfortunately is a rehash of a video that was released right after Tesla's AI Day, that's more of a recruiting video. It ends up going like, hey, you want to work for us? But you can see that 2 days ago, they did something about the heat pump in the Model Y and Model 3, etc. You've got the holiday update. You've got testing in New Zealand. So information about that. You've got dog mode. You've got Model S and X Plaid arrive in Europe. That's pretty traditional, marketing right there. That's not even informational. You've also got Tesla's light show. You've got the Tesla Steam integration on Model S, Model X. And so you can see that they put out much more consistently. If you look back over time, you can see recently within the last 8 or so months or a year, they've been releasing things consistently. But if you look back, things start to spread out over time. So somebody got the message. Might be Martin Vieja, who knows? It could be Elon Musk himself, because he had tweeted a couple of years ago that maybe it's time for Tesla to start putting out informational videos. But you can see from their YouTube channel that they are trying to consistently put out more or less informational videos that tell people about why Tesla is a good vehicle. And I, for one, think that that is a brilliant and necessary move. Again, not traditional public relations or marketing, but it's something that companies are using more and more, but it's something that Tesla needs to do as they, again, move out of that early adopter, sort of rabid adopter phase into the more broad market where people don't pay as much attention. So if somebody goes to YouTube and they go to Tesla, although I have to say, if you go to YouTube and you search Tesla, you're going to get everybody else's channels in front of Tesla's. So it is a little difficult to find Tesla. But of course, Tesla also posts on Twitter and other places, so you can click through that way. Anyway, but once you get to Tesla's YouTube channel, there are a lot of videos and they can help you out. There's just a whole bunch of things here where there's all of these, support software, autopilot, touchscreen, physical controls, charging. So all of these instructional videos that are very, very helpful for people who've never driven an electric vehicle before. You can find out a lot of stuff and find little things that it might take you months to find out on your own. So these are all very, very good. They can help to drive sales and also help people have a better experience once they own the vehicle, which means that then they tell their friends and, you get the viral marketing as well. And speaking of that, I guess the last marketing strategy is the most traditional marketing strategy that Tesla has used, which is, like I said, it's just viral marketing. It's basically, I tell people, I love the car. You should test drive one, maybe consider buying one if you're in the market for a new vehicle, not just an EV, but a new vehicle. And that kind of thing drives more sales. So again, I think it's Stephen Mark Ryan. The more Tesla sells, the more Tesla sells. Right? I don't know if he owns the copyright to that statement, but the basic idea is if you have a satisfied customer who really loves the car, they're going to tell their friends. And that is a really good way, right? So every time you sell one car, you might have 3 or 4 people find out about it who are in their circle of friends who then might go try it out. And maybe a couple of them buy a car. So you can start to branch out and you can get a lot of sales that way as well. And that, of course, is the best, most organic form of marketing you can have, but you can't really buy that. You just have to do a good job making a compelling product that people really, really love. So there you go. We've got a bunch of different strategies that Tesla is actually using to do public relations and marketing right now. Some of them are very untraditional. Others are just a new twist on traditional media and public relations. But all of them taken together mean that while Tesla's not explicitly spending money on advertisements and stuff, they are working hard to get the word out there. And of course they are, because they're a business and they want people to know about their vehicle. Because if they don't, they make a product that no one knows about. So yes, they are doing public relations and marketing. And yes, the strategy has evolved over time. And yes, that's a good idea. Will Tesla ever do traditional advertising, I really doubt that they will. But doing things like the cyber rodeo and stuff back in April of last year of 2022, doing stuff like that, doing AI Day, doing things like that, doing investor days, stuff like that, that involves a lot of people actually going. But doing things like that costs a lot of money. These are millions of dollars events that they're putting on, right? So that does cost a significant chunk of money. And you can definitely say that one part of that is more like marketing. So they do spend money on it. And obviously they have to spend money to make the videos that they're doing and things like that. But relatively speaking, these are small drops in the bucket compared to the number of cars that they sell. So we might be looking at like $1 a car versus $600 a car that somebody like GM spends. So while you might argue that Tesla is not spending $0 on public relations and marketing, they're spending very, very little, and they're doing it really, really effectively. And they're getting an awful lot of other people to do the work for them, which is all very, very clever, kind of 4D chess moves on Elon Musk and Tesla's part. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it fun and interesting and thought-provoking. If you did, please do like it so other people can find it. And of course, consider subscribing for more of this kind of content. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon. Thank you all so much for your support. I truly do appreciate it. Love the discussions we've been having on Discord recently. And of course, if you're interested in joining the channel, just check out the link in the description. And if you're interested in a whole bunch of really cool merch, check out our merch store. Link is in the description. We have TeslaBot t-shirts, the Tesla meme t-shirt, Success is a Possible Outcome, 4680 battery cells. All of that stuff is on t-shirts, mugs, tumblers, and on. So check it out. And for those of you interested in investing, check out WeBull, an amazing platform for buying and selling stocks, and now cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others. Open an account and get a free stock valued at up to $200, and fund your account and get another free stock valued at up to $1,600. Check out the link in the description and help the channel at the same time. Thank you. And finally, don't forget, we are both Tesla and Amazon affiliates. If you look in the description, you can see how going shopping for a solar roof, a power wall, or anything on Amazon helps out the channel. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.